inclination to where they're at right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from. Like, I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so bad.
Police in Colorado have issued an alert for a pregnant mother and her 2 young daughters.
Had nothing to do with the act of an evil, cruel people.
So you obviously are a really bad liar.
He is the sloppiest killer I've ever seen.
He looks like he's trying to cover his tracks.
Every time
We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just a test.
That's awesome.
The house was quiet, too quiet. Chris sat in the dim light of the living room, staring at nothing. The clock ticked past 1:30 a.m. when Shannon finally came home from her business trip. She looked exhausted but still carried that soft smile, the kind that once made his world feel whole. She whispered a tired, "Hey baby," as she walked upstairs, unaware that her husband's heart had turned into something unrecognizable. He followed her slowly, every step heavier than the last. In his mind, chaos, guilt, anger, betrayal, all mixed into one silent storm. He remembered the messages, the arguments, the affair. But deeper inside, something darker whispered, "It's the only way." Shannon turned around when he entered the room, confusion in her eyes. "Chris, what's wrong?" she asked, but his silence said more than words ever could. The air felt thick, and her heartbeat grew louder. As she sat on the bed, trying to reach him, he just stood there, breathing heavily. The room felt suffocating. The night was about to witness what no human heart should ever contain, the moment a husband turns against love itself. If stories like this shake your soul, like, share, and subscribe to Grave Secret, where darkness tells its truth. The silence broke with her voice, soft, trembling, filled with fear. "Chris, please, talk to me. What's happening?" But Chris didn't answer. His face was pale, his hands shaking as if something inside him was fighting to escape. Shannon stepped closer, confused, worried. "We can fix this," she whispered. Then it happened. The room exploded into chaos. Shannon gasped as he lunged forward. Her voice echoed through the walls, a desperate cry for mercy. "Please, don't do this. Think of the girls, Chris. They need you, we need you." Her words pierced the air, but he didn't stop. Every second felt eternal, her sobs, her struggle, her final breath fading into the darkness. And then, silence again. Only his heartbeat remained, wild and hollow. His hands trembled as he stepped back, staring at what he'd done. In that stillness, he heard it, her voice, not from her lips, but inside his head. "Why, Chris?" It would never leave him. Tiny footsteps came from the hallway. "Daddy?" It was Bella, holding her blanket, eyes wide. "What's wrong with Mommy?" His heart dropped into a pit of horror. The morning sun hadn't yet risen when Chris carried the weight of his sins out the door. The world outside was still sleeping, but inside his truck was a nightmare that no dawn could erase. Shannon's body lay wrapped and silent in the back. His daughters, Bella and Celeste, sat in their car seats, still innocent, still trusting. "Daddy, where's Mommy?" Celeste asked softly. Chris's throat tightened, his mind screaming, but his voice came out flat, "She's okay, baby." He drove through the empty roads, the hum of the engine mixing with the echo of Shannon's voice in his head, "Chris, stop." It was faint, but relentless. The oil field came into view, lonely and vast. He stepped out, the cold wind slapping his face like judgment itself. The air smelled of dust, oil, and death. One by one, he erased what remained of his family, believing he could bury the truth beneath the earth. But with every shovel of dirt, her voice came back louder, "Why did you do this to us?" He sat in the truck afterward, trembling, hollow, staring at the horizon. The sun finally rose, but for him, it would never shine again. If this story has you frozen, subscribe, like, and share Grave's secret, because some secrets are too dark to stay hidden. By sunrise, the monster had learned to wear a mask. Chris drove home, showered, and dressed as if it were just another day. But the walls of that house whispered. Every photo, every toy, every trace of laughter screamed what he had done. Yet when neighbors knocked, he smiled, hollow, controlled, empty. Soon the news spread. Sean and Watts and her 2 daughters missing. Cameras, reporters, friends, all surrounded him. He stood on his porch, pretending to beg for their return. "If someone has them, please bring them back," he said, his eyes dry, his heart colder than ever. The world watched a husband act like a grieving man, while the truth rotted beneath the Colorado soil. But detectives saw through the cracks. His body language, his calmness, it didn't add up. When they called him in for questioning, Chris agreed without hesitation, confident in his lies. Then came the polygraph test. He failed miserably. His mask began to crumble. That night, under the bright light of interrogation, he broke. His voice trembled. His eyes fell. The truth began to leak from his lips, not as confession, but as collapse. In the silence of his prison cell, Chris finally faced what he had become. The cameras were gone, the lies had faded, and there was no one left to convince, not even himself. At night, when the lights went out, he could still hear her voice. Soft. Breaking. "Chris, please, don't." Those were her last words, and now they were his curse. Years after the murders, he finally confessed again, this time, with no cameras, no detectives, just the weight of his own guilt. "Her voice still haunts me," he whispered. "She begged me not to kill her, but I didn't stop." His words were cracked, trembling, soaked in a pain that could never be forgiven. He spoke of nightmares, of seeing Sean and standing in the corner of his cell, of hearing the girls laughing one second and crying the next. Every breath reminded him of what he destroyed. "I see them every night," he said. "They don't speak anymore. They just look at me." And so, the man who buried his family now lives buried in his own darkness, haunted not by justice, but by memory. If you've made it this far through the shadows, subscribe, like, and share Grave's secret, where every soul tells its truth, even from the grave.